Hello everyone. Let's try to now understand the last topic of the chapter 1, that is the occupational structure on the eve of independence and infrastructure on the eve of independence. These are the two topics that we are going to cover in this video. But now let's first understand what the word occupational structure means. Well, the word occupational structure means the distribution of the working people across the primary, secondary and tertiary sector. The distribution of the working population across the primary, secondary and tertiary sector. In simple words, it means how much of the working population is engaged in primary sector, how much of the working population is engaged in secondary sector, and how much of the working population is engaged in tertiary sector. Well, you will be knowing that we are talking about the structure of occupational structure during the time of independence. Now, as it is clearly known to all of you that during the time of independence, India was a backward economy and the dependence of people on agriculture was extremely high. This was because most of the people in our country was working in agriculture sector. If I have to give you a percentage, then understand one thing: during the time of independence, it was about close to 70 to 75% of the population which was engaged in agriculture. So this becomes the first point or first feature of occupational structure during the time of independence, that agriculture was the main source of occupation during this period, as most of the people were working in agriculture. If we compare this data of 70 to 75% with big countries such as England, US, Japan, Germany, you will observe that you will be surprised to know that these big countries, the people who were working in agricultural sector ranged between merely 2 to 10%, 12%, something like that. It means a very less percentage of people were working in agriculture. It was because of the fact that less percentage was there in agriculture, or should I say more number of percentage of people were engaged in agriculture, was because our country did not have much of industries. So people could not work more in industries, and the only source of employment for them was agriculture. So agriculture was the principal source of occupation. Secondly, since agriculture was significant source, industry or secondary sector was an insignificant source of occupation, because in our country the working population percentage in secondary sector ranged between somewhere around 8 to 10%. 8 to 10%, which was very low, while in other big countries which I have already mentioned in the agricultural part, that is US, England, Japan, the people who were engaged in industrial sector or the secondary sector ranged between 35 to 45%, which again adds back to my statement that our economy was a backward economy. So you see, agriculture sector ranges between 70 to 75%, secondary sector ranges between 8 to 10, 12, 15%, which means that there was unbalanced growth in the economy. An economy grows only when there is balanced growth in all the sectors. But during this time of independence, one sector was people were highly engaged, another sector people were less percentage of people were engaged. So there was unbalanced economy, and this is why our country during in the time of independence was considered backward, as most of the people were engaged in agricultural, and also they were engaged in agricultural but subsistence agricultural. This led of extreme poverty in our country. Moving ahead, let's try to now understand the structure of the infrastructure during the time of independence. Well, you know the meaning of the word infrastructure. The meaning of the word infrastructure refers to economic change and social change in our country. The word infrastructure refers to economic change and social change in the country, which leads to growth and development of the country. Social change and economic change which leads to growth and development of the country. When we talk of the word social change, It leads to it, I mean, the growth of education, health, and housing facilities. And when the word economic change is referred to, it leads to transport, banking, communication, etc. Now, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure is the economic change and social change which leads to the development and growth of the country. Now, when we talk of the features of infrastructure, you can understand that during the time of independence, the railways served as the medium of growing the British industry. So, the first feature of infrastructure was that there was creation of railways to develop the British and goods, to develop the British industries, where their goods were transported to the interiors of the Indian market. Secondly, roads were developed. Apart from railways, roads were developed. Schools were opened by the British, and the purpose of development of road was that apart from rail, road could have been the other medium where transportation of goods could have been done to different part of the country. Apart from road and railways, the third which got developed in our country was the ports, where ports, through the water medium, the ship medium, the sea medium, the export was done, and imports from the British which used to come to India was coming through these ports only. So the 3 points, if I talk about infrastructure, the first point refers that railways were developed to transport the finished goods to the interiors. Secondly, roads were developed to carry the transportation of raw materials to other part of country. Third, ports were developed so that imports from British could have been done easily. Now, as you will be seeing, I am talking too much of railways. Now, let's try to understand whether these railways had any impact on our country or not. Well, let me tell you that railways not only created a positive impact in our country, but it also led to negative impact. Let's first try to understand what were the biggest merits of railway. Well, you know that railways, the biggest benefit was it was means there was faster movement of food grains among the different parts of country. If in one place of the country was suffering from less food grain, if one place of country was suffering from less food grains, then the place where larger food grains was being produced through the medium of railways, food grains were dispatched. So the famines were reduced through the introduction of railways. Secondly, it helped the people to move to distant places, not only to understand different culture but also to get better employment. Third, it also made a market for small producers, where the small producers now could reach to various markets through the introduction of railways. So which, because of this, our domestic market got expanded. So first point, our positive impact of railways stands that there was growth of Indian market. Secondly, there was people could reach to different places for better jobs. Thirdly, there was reduction in famines. And fourth and the last point, people, if they now performed commercialization of agriculture, they could now get a bigger market because they could have transported their goods through the introduction of railways. However, railways was having its own demerits. It is generally said that railways expansion was done so that British could transport all its goods to larger section in India. This was the biggest demerit, that British developed railways in India not to benefit India but to export their own goods in different parts of our country. Secondly, when their goods were being dispatched, it was ideologically their economy who got benefited the most. The railways were of India, but it was the British economy which got benefited the most. And thirdly, it was that sorry, thirdly is somewhere related to first point only, that finished goods could now easily be dispatched to the other part of the country. But it is said that In spite of the fact that British ruled in our country for so many years, they actually had given some positive or benefits to our country. The biggest benefit of British rule in our country was that famines was controlled in our country. The first biggest benefit of having the British in our country was famines were controlled, because it was the British who developed railway in our country, where goods from high producing areas were transported to low producing areas. Secondly, as more railways were being developed, as more roadways were being developed by the British, a large number of people were required, which gave rise to employment. So the first point is famines were controlled. Second point was employment increased. Third, because railways used to transfer goods, people, agricultural people now used to go for commercialization of agriculture. Agricultural people now used to go for commercialization of agriculture, because of which the income of the farmers increased and also their standard of living increased, and the moment their income increased, the poverty level reduced. And the fourth biggest point of positive impact of British rule was that British taught us how to have a effective system of administration. British taught us how to have a effective system of administration. So the four main points of positive impact of British rule was: famines were controlled, employment got increased, poverty got reduced because commercialization of agricultural was done, and Indians became more efficient in administration. I hope this gives you better understanding of the topic. Thank you everyone.